Hello. In this quick chapter, I'm going to be iterating on the Backalley, and also I'm going to be blocking out the Archway that is going to sit at the end of the Backalley. So basically, that skinny archway, I'm going to iterate on it. I'm gonna make it bigger, and I'm gonna move it so it helps me block the sidelines from here. But at this stage, I still had this idea of making this long stairway. I was trying to get it to look organic by rotating and getting some angles in there. I think the composition was working pretty nicely. It was feeling good, but it's like I said before, all the stairs they didn't feel great in VR. It was very disorienting, very uncomfortable. But if this was a FPS game, I could totally see that working. This kind of compositions, they're great for navigation because you know that you're either going up or down. So they help the player know at all times exactly where they are. And as an environment artist, you always want to help the player navigate through the map. And you want to do this in a subtle way. So you can use some props, set dressing, or lighting, composition. All those things, they help guide the player. So always keep that in mind. Composition is not just for making stuff look pretty and harmonious, but it's essential for navigation. So you can see that once I have a few blockout buildings, it gets very easy to play around with them and try different paths. And also you can notice how what I was saying before about leaving some breathing spaces on the sides of the buildings and stuff, because then you can rotate and you can use those sides to fill gaps and to have some breathing space. That also it's a good place to do some set dressing. You know, it's a place where you can put lights or depending on the environment, like an AC or pipes, like all that kind of stuff. So you want to reserve some space for those things too. Yeah, so this corner, it took quite a bit of iteration until I got something that I was pleased with, and I was changing up to when like up to the end. It was a little tricky to get something that looked natural and interesting here. And the reason is I couldn't really find any references, you know, like of a street that does this kind of curve. So I couldn't really figure out what kind of corner building to have, because I wanted to have something interesting, like an interesting building on that corner. But yeah, in the end, I actually made it a residential building, and I put a balcony on the second floor to make it more interesting. But I tried all kinds of ideas. I tried this small bakery, and then I tried another taller commercial building. And it's just like sometimes when like work on these maps, there's always one part that needs more iteration than others. So don't be afraid of changes. Like if you're not feeling that an area is right, it's totally cool to try other stuff, because like sometimes you can just hide whatever you have and try different things, and the ideas just come as you are working. So when I make those kind of drastic changes, I just make a copy of the map. So I duplicate the map in case I want to go back, because then that gives me peace of mind that I can be a little destructive if I need to, and I'm not gonna lose any work if I change my mind. And at this stage here, I was trying to make this wall look a bit more organic, and I'm going to model this later by hand, so it really doesn't matter that the pieces are all zip hiding and they're all like shoved into each other. I'm just trying to get the boundaries here, just the shapes. And this is a great example of like how I work, because I'm always jumping from place to place. I like to work on the whole environment at once. So I was working on the back alley, and then I did some changes to the corner, but then because I changed the corner, I also have to change this wall here. So that's why you really need to keep the block out like very flexible, you know, like don't get so attached to the ideas, you know, like make it in a way that it's easy to move stuff around, and it's not going to cause problems. Yeah, so in the end, I felt this back alley was getting too messy composition wise. I had too many angles. It would go up and down, and like it could be cool for some other type of environment, you know, like maybe like some place, some like back alley, I don't know, like in Hong Kong, or some like slums in Brazil, you know, like that would make sense. But this place, even though it's organic, I didn't notice that kind of messiness in the reference. So I'm just trying to all the time I was creating my own world, of course, right? But I was using real life as an inspiration. So I was trying to capture the vibe of the place, and then make my own version. So you have to pay attention to these kind of things, you know, like is it an organized place? Is it a messy place? Is it dirty, clean? Like all those things, they help make the environment feel more believable. What I mean is just don't do things just because they're cool. Like for a long time, I used to do things just because I thought they were cool. And a lot of times they clashed, like the idea clashed with what I was trying to convey. So these days I'm very mindful of what I add. Like this archway, for example, it makes the place feel more classical. Like not necessarily medieval, but this kind of archway is not something that would be built like these days, right? Like when you look at the architecture of modern cities, they don't really build this kind of stuff anymore, which is a shame. Everything is very functional, or like modern architecture. So this archway serves several different purposes. The first one that I mentioned before was blocking the sideline from the back alley. It also serves as some vertical detail, especially in VR. I really want to encourage the player to look up. So that helps with that. And also it helps to ground the street. Like I use it as a separation. On the other side of the street, I don't have any trees, for example, in the final environment. And on this side of the archway, I have lots of trees and plants. So I try to create two different districts in a way, using the same pieces, but just rearranged differently. So I think the archway was very successful. Like it really helped the composition in this area. It helps the navigation, and it helps just being this POI in the middle of the street, so you know where you are. And honestly, it doesn't make much sense. Like if you really think about it, like what kind of building is this? Like what's the purpose? I don't know, but in this case, I took some liberties. I just thought, oh, I like these shapes. So, and you can always dress up stuff, you know, like you can add windows and you can add props and give it some meaning. This, when you're working on stylized, right? Like when you work on a like purely photorealistic environment, it gets harder to get away with this kind of stuff. I think what I like the most about working with these building toppers, let's say, is how you can just come up with stuff on the go. You know, you can just drag and drop the buildings, move them around, try different compositions, and the ideas they just come up. You know, like the environment just grows from there. Yeah, this tunnel is an area that I actually removed later. I simplified because I didn't want to create another kit. So always keep this in mind when you're blocking out through. Like, are you gonna reuse the same kit you have? In that case, for that tunnel, I would need to create different materials and stuff. And in the end, I chose to just simplify it, you know, because I already had a lot of teams and I needed to finish the map. So here's a quick video of me trying the environment in VR. And you can see how different it feels. The scale feels different. The FOV, all those things. Like look how narrow the street looks like now. How short. Yeah, that's the part that gave me a lot of trouble in VR. Like going up and down. It didn't feel great, I have to say. But that's it for this short video.